catskullGameing. And something needs to change in the way that I am approaching my game dev and YouTube development. My last video was an incredibly bad video, and it really kind of made me reevaluate my process. And I came to understand that I make YouTube videos for several reasons. One, it provides me with a way to look back at the project with the perspective of time. Two, it helps me practice editing, thinking about scenes, thinking about camera work, lighting, and blocking. Three, it serves as a way for me to put the project out in the public. It's the public-facing part of the project. And four, it's a lot of fun making videos. And up until now, I've really only spent about a couple hours on the videos. At least that's how it started. And then slowly it's become an entire day, and now it's a day and a half to go through all the footage and try to pare it down and figure out the narrative. And it just means that it's taking so long to produce the videos, it's really cutting into my game dev time. And in 2025, I have less time than ever because I have a bunch of housework that I'm going to have to be doing on the weekends, where I won't have that time to focus on videos. And I either stop doing as much game dev, I stop playing video games, stop making YouTube videos. I don't want to do any of those things, so I'm going to change the way that I do videos. A new approach. That's really what I need to be using as I move forward. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to catch up my dev diary, and the way I'm going to do that is by using more of a devlog style than a dev diary style, just to kind of get caught up and get into what I'm working on today. Hold on to your hats as we speed through 3 months of solo game development. Now, first, my goal is to fill out the entire game world and get something playable. I mean, desperately to feedback, but I want it to come from an entire project and not parts and pieces. And this means I want music, I want animation, I want enough of that polish there that gets the idea across, and I can get feedback on the concept and the total measure of what I'm thinking about for the game than just a single part of the game. Switch from a standard mechanical keyboard to a ortholinear split keyboard, which meant I was trying to reteach myself how to type on that. Adapting to the new layout initially challenged my typing skills, but I'm a firm believer that if your tools are good and using them makes you feel good, then you'll want to use them and you'll be more productive and you'll have more fun in that productivity. And I felt, since I was teaching myself to touch type, that having a cool keyboard would make me feel cool and make my enjoyment of the process that much more enjoyable. And it did. So as I started working through the project, I've already done the legwork. I know what I want. I know where the beginning and the end are. I don't know what all the pieces are in between though. So the way that I'm implementing things is I take that list and I try to put as much of it in the game as I could fit. And then I just started playing, and when I got to a place where it kind of breaks, I'd stop there, figure out what was broken or what it needed to keep going, and then I'd fill it in with those things, and then repeat until I finally got to the end of that, where I had a completely finished thing. So now that I finally have got a playable thing, you can go through the entire game loop, you can get a victory screen. I asked my wife and my mom to test it. Now, my wife is not a gamer, and my mom enjoys puzzle games and card games and board games, but she's not really a video gamer either. And their feedback was exactly what I had expected. A lot of platitudes and assurances that it was probably really good, but they're not gamers, so they might not really have gotten it. As an artist, if I had gotten that kind of feedback on something that I was making, it is kind of bluntly unhelpful in that it doesn't really help me address problem areas to improve on. But with a video game, being able to watch them play, I learned so much. They were so helpful. It was so useful. A video game has so many different elements and so many different parts of it that kind of work together to produce the effect, the fun, and the play that a single person playing 15 minutes of a bad game, it's going to be hard for them to identify what individual thing caused that. But when you watch them, you can see on their facial expressions, you can see where they're getting confused and where they're getting frustrated and where they're just kind of doing stuff and going through the motions. And it really lets you kind of figure out like, oh, these are the things that are going on. So when you get feedback like that, for me, there was 20 seconds of like gut-wrenching angst that what I had made was kind of a waste of time because the feedback wasn't them gushing about how great it was and how smart I was and how brilliant this mechanic was and how I figured this out. And then I kind of took a deep breath and realized how much more important that honesty about them not getting things and not understanding stuff and saying it was just a nice game was, because it really let me look at what I was doing and reevaluate different areas that I had kind of been taking for granted because I was so close to it. That insight that they had really prompted me to make several key changes to what I'm working, is going to lead to what I'm working on now. The big things that I kind of took away from it were that there was too much text and none of it was interesting or apparently relevant. The premise kind of clashed with the action. You play as this janitor and yet you're expected to hack into a computer. What janitor does that? The puzzles lacked context, so you would like engage a puzzle but you wouldn't know you had engaged it, and then there wouldn't be any rules that would tell you how that puzzle worked for you to get through it. The portrait puzzle was one that I thought was super simple and everybody would just fly through, and it seemed to be nearly impossible once I thought about it. Everything kind of felt overly obtuse, and all those other things helped make that obtuseness even more so. Controls with some of the movement and some of the mouse inputs, which could bug out the game and make you miss things. And so I had to just take all that feedback and all those things, and I knew that the prototype as it was so fragile. If I wanted to continue to work on it, I wanted to develop it further, I would have to refactor or redo most of the code base, honestly. And so I realized it's going to be so much work to get this thing back up and running. Take that feedback and let's cook for a little bit and see what I come up with. And that's kind of what I want to talk about in the next episode, the next dev diary, in the next one. Kind of taking that break and how it let me evaluate what was going on. Well, thank you so much for coming and hanging out. I hope you'll come back. If you're interested, you can check out the prototype right now in your browser. You don't have to download anything. There's a link down below. If you do, please share your thoughts in the comment section. I'd love to hear what you think about it. I'd love to hear all the horrible bugs you found, because I know there are a lot. And so, also, please do all the YouTube things, like, subscribe, all that stuff. I really appreciate it. And yeah, bye.